Hello, this is Sarah Brash. Welcome back to my channel. So I want to do a video which is going to be pretty somber in tone because it's about a very serious, really devastating subject. I want to talk about Mohammad Anwar, and he was, and most people know what I'm talking about. Most people have watched the horrifying video. So he was the Pakistani immigrant who was an Uber driver, who was out working to support his family, his children and grandchildren. He was an older man, I believe a relatively new immigrant to the US, and this occurred in Washington, D.C. And two girls, 13 and 15, two black girls, tried to carjack his car while he was working, I believe, as an Uber driver at the time. And he was trying to stop them from carjacking his car. And there were bystanders who were filming the altercation and I believe calling 911 right at that time before the car had taken off and the girls had taken off in the car with Mohammad Anwar basically being dragged along the side of the car. And then they got into a car accident down at the end of the street. This was in Washington, D.C. and a few days ago, and the car flipped on its side, and I'm not sure exactly what happened to Mr. Anwar, but he was, I believe, at some point crushed and then subsequently thrown, and he appeared to my eye to already be dead at the time of the video being taken of his body lying on the sidewalk. And so the two girls were being helped out of the car that had crashed. It appeared that, I don't know, I think I did read in fact that he may have died at the hospital, so he may still have technically been alive. He appeared to my eye to probably very likely to already be deceased when you could see his body lying on the sidewalk. It was really horrifying. It's really just a horrifying sight. And I kind of wish I hadn't actually watched the video footage. So anyway, so it was just devastating to watch. And so one of the girls, the two teenage black girls, were being helped out of the car, and one of the girls was worried about her cell phone that was still in the car and walked right past, inches away from the body of the man whom they had just killed. And I just did a video about how stupid it was for Chelsea Handler to say we shouldn't have a trial and we shouldn't have due process in the case of the Minneapolis police officer who seemed to have clearly killed George Floyd in a video. And of course these girls should have a trial, and they were charged already, I believe, with murder, with felony murder. And there will be a trial, and they will get due process, and they absolutely should have a trial, and they absolutely should have due process, regardless of the fact that there's video and audio footage of what happened. But what I really wanted to comment on is the fake news press and false media narratives and the moral outrage industry, and how the fake news press and the moral outrage industry push false media narratives to make moral outrage industry money. And they don't care that they are fomenting racial division in this country. They don't care if they are actually the ones responsible for fomenting racial strife, racial violence. They don't care. They just want to make money. They want racial division in the US. They want there to be racial division in the US so they can make more moral outrage industry money. I promise you that. I promise you that. And Scott Greenfield, the really wonderful attorney who has a blog called Simple Justice, wrote a really terrific, brilliant blog post on this subject, and he also focused on the false media narratives, and in particular what happened in the case of the killing of Mohammad Anwar is CNN described what occurred as an accident. That a car accident had happened that had resulted in Mr. Anwar's death, which is the most ludicrous and asinine thing I've ever heard. It was not a car accident. They were in the process of carjacking his car. He was trying to stop them, and they killed him with the car because they were trying to basically brush him off the car like you would an insect. Wipe him off the windshield like you would with the wipers when you're trying to get rid of an insect that's been smushed against the windshield. And so I just wanted to talk about how, and of course, people don't want to talk about, and the same thing with all of the anti-Asian American hate crimes. I mean, everybody knows now how I feel about hate crime legislation, but that aside the point, in the media, all of these, what are alleged to be anti-Asian hate crimes are occurring. Do you know who's perpetrating most of them? It's black men. And the media never discusses this, never brings this up, never mentions it. Why don't they mention it? Because it doesn't fit the moral outrage industry money-making narrative that they have, aligned themselves with. Which they aligned themselves with a very long time ago. Number one, to smear Trump. Almost every single living while black incident, including the napping while black hate crime hoax at Yale, has turned out to be, and especially the ones on college campuses, have turned out to be race and hate crime hoaxes. Every single one. Almost every single one. I'm sure there's one or two that are real, but almost every single one has turned out to be a hoax. Pushed by the moral outrage industry, pushed by the fake news press. And when the facts don't line up with this narrative that they've been selling for years now, during the past 3 years especially, the great racism scare, they turned living while black into a race hoax and a blood sport targeting vulnerable white women to smear Trump and to make moral outrage industry money. And so when the facts of a killing that we did get on video of Mohammad Anwar, a Pakistani immigrant, a man with brown skin, being killed by 2 teenage girls with black skin, well, brown skin too, but 2 black girls, they just want to downplay that what happened to him. Then they don't want to talk about race, right? So it's infuriating. It's absolutely infuriating. And I thought that Scott Greenfield's Simple Justice blog post was just put this so brilliantly and so perfectly, and I encourage everyone to read it. And I just feel so horrible for Mohammad Anwar's family, and I know that there is a GoFundMe fundraising site for his family to raise funds so that they can have a suitable, appropriate funeral service for him. And I know that his family is just devastated about what happened. Of course they are. It is devastating. And I just want to say, shame on you, CNN. Shame on you, New York Times. Shame on you, MSNBC. Shame on you, NBC News. Shame on you, Washington Post. Shame on you, LA Times. Shame on all of you. Shame on all of you. You're the one creating racial hatred. You're the one sowing racial division. You're the one doing this. You're the one doing this. By pushing and perpetrating race and hate crime hoaxes, and by downplaying the facts when they don't fit the narrative that you have developed, that you have married yourself to, that's generating you the most money, that's the most divisive, to smear Trump, to demonize vulnerable white women. It's just maddening. It's just maddening. So anyway, that's what I wanted to say. I don't want to make this video too long, but Anyway, I love you all so much for all of your support, and your kind words mean the world to me. And I promise I will never stop fighting for justice at Yale and everywhere. We're going to restore due process and equal protection and protect the Federal Civil Rights Act. So I will have all of my fundraising links below. Please support my legal efforts for justice. And I love you all so much. Okay, I'll talk to you later.